All right, eating crow with a customer. When the business has to apologize.
So I almost went into this and I looked further ahead because I was like, let's talk customer. What's here? Like, it is, I mean, everything, that's the same framework that we talked about, but it is more important because you have a less captive eye watching you.
Yes.
It's a consumer that can do business anywhere, that has word of mouth. I mean, your employee can do the same thing, but they're a little more committed, right?
Mhm.
It is so important that if you are wrong, you take the blame, or if there's an issue, you take the blame and eat that crow, and you walk them through it. Hey, here's what we've done, good or bad.
Mhm.
Here's what we're going to do moving forward. We all apologize for the lack of communication, the lack of transparency, the lack of understanding. This is not a problem we've seen before, but I take full responsibility and I want to make sure that this is right.
That's so important, especially with a customer, is there are some people that have listened to this podcast like, no, I'm really good about doing that with my employees. But then when it comes to a customer, as soon as a customer brings up a complaint, you are so fast to throw up a wall. In fact, you're so fast about it, you're not even hearing what the customer says, and you start responding upon how you did it right, and your guys could have never made a mistake.
Yeah, and then you get the review said they wouldn't even listen.
I recently in this past year had somebody to come work on an appliance at my house, and I called them and there was an issue. We're in the customer service business, so I'm really easy on people when I call and there's a deal. And I'm very calm, I don't threaten, and I'm just trying to explain to the guy. I hadn't even gotten halfway through, and he ran straight over the top of me and said, "That guy that came out there, he's never made a mistake. There's no way he could have messed up on that. You need to go recheck that. It cannot be our fault." And I was like, whoa, I'm not making anything up. I'm not asking you to pay for anything. I just need to know what the fix is here. So if that's you, please rethink that. And we'll get to why here in a minute. But the number one thing with a customer, you need to remember whether you're right or you're wrong, if the customer does not feel heard, you're wrong. Even if you were right, you're wrong because you didn't listen, and the way they feel is more important than the solution.
I think that's a big thing to realize in there, that you might have done everything right and their car is not covered, or that is not applicable, or any of those things, but you didn't walk them through how they did or how they didn't qualify, or the warranty doesn't cover, or whatever it may be, whatever the issues, you didn't walk them through and allow them to completely voice their opinion, their feels, what they found on this, what they found on that.
Hmm.
And so then they could be 1000% wrong, but because you don't let them tell their story and go through it, they're still blaming it on you.
Hey, I want to talk about this next piece because I haven't always gotten this right, and it's called the refund. So let's talk about like in service or installing an accessory or whatever you want to talk about, and the refund back to the customer. And earlier in my career, when there was a mistake, and it wasn't 100% ours, but maybe it was kind of in the gray and it was 50-50, something like that. I would try to split it with a customer. I would try to give them 25% off and go, hey, you pay 50%, I'll pay 50%. Or I would drag it on a little bit before I'd make that decision. And then I'd make the decision and we would fix it. And in my mind, we did right and everything was good. I had already ruined that customer experience.
Yeah.
And even though I paid for it, let's say I paid for 100% of it after we went back and forth, that customer experience was ruined.
You know where that came from? Is the ability as a manager, as a sales professional, sales manager, finance manager, the ability to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the right time to negotiate because, that's how you're taught and trained in the art of sales, is to, let's find a way where we both win.
Yeah.
But what happens is that experience is just completely washed away when you try to do that. Like, okay, alleviate the pain, alleviate the pain, alleviate the cost. Like, it's gonna be $1,000 and you don't want to eat it. So you're like, what if you pay $250? I pay $750.
Yep.
Or $750, $250. And then by the time you end up paying for it, or if you get them 50-50, you feel like you win. It still costs you $500 and now they'll never come back.
And that is a train of thought that takes maturity in business. And you have to think long term, because one, I was negotiating because that's what I've been taught to do. Number two, as a business owner, we always look at expense control. So initially at surface level, you're trying to reduce your expenses. But what you don't see is the humongous reduction in revenue.
Yeah.
If you're going to, and I wish I could quote this book, that it has been years and years ago when I read this part of it. And the author said, if you're going to pay for something or fix something, whether it was your fault or not, do it day one, do it hour one, do it the first conversation. Because if your goal is to take care of something and have this wow factor to the customer, the longer you wait, the less likely you're going to achieve that big shining, hey, look what they did for me. If you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah, and so I think that's super important without going down a tangent that you have your SOPs to say when do you do it, and not when do you do it, but what's the circumstance that you do say yes, I'll pay for it.
Yes.
So it's not a should we? Let me get a hold of somebody. Let me ask them. Okay, did they buy from us? And they're local? Have they serviced with us? To make those decisions, you need that SOP. It's like some of the line hotels have said you have X amount percent or X amount of dollars that you can spend on a customer and experience to keep the experience good.
Mm. That's so good that they can spend X amount. We were at Universal this last year with the kids, and we were riding one of the rides. I don't even remember what ride it was. And one of my kids had taken their hat off and had put it at their feet or something. And this ride, it was in Jimmy Fallon ride, and had lost their hat. We didn't figure out till we were on the line for the next ride. So I went back, waited for it to cycle through, looked in the room, couldn't find it, couldn't find it. Well, the lady that was helping me walked me down to the gift store. And there was no video, there was no proof whether we actually even had a hat.
Right.
Walked me to the gift store and said, will you please pick out a hat for your son? We got a hat. I showed backup, didn't charge me for it. It was a wow factor to me that they were trying to make a solution, figure out a solution, even though we couldn't find the hat.
And it wasn't their problem.
Wasn't their problem. I gave it to my son. We went on and had a great day.
Right.
So just empowering that, and like, if you're going to do it, do it. Because, and let me get your thoughts on this, how to eat crow with one customer affects 20 customers that you'll never even meet.
Yeah, that's just the power of the word of like we talk about that referral
Mm-hmm.
and where people go to drink their coffee. In today's world, most of it's on social media. If you have that good experience and you eat crow quickly and how you handle it, really bad situation like we've had where lug nuts didn't get tightened and the tire falls off or gets wobbly going down the road. You better handle it pretty quickly and you better handle it properly. You have a quick in your time and how you handle it. You have a quick opportunity of that switch to go really negative or really positive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it positively, those 20 that you think you never meet, you'll get to meet. And they'll say, so and so sent me.
That's right.
But if you do it negatively to say, no, I'm pretty sure that we tightened the lug nuts. I'm pretty sure we did this. I'm pretty sure we put the drain plug in and put all the oil back in it. Then they're quickly turning to, and you can't fix them all. Like there's been plenty of scenarios when I've been tagged on Facebook and people are like, hey, can you help this guy out? And so I go back to service. I'm like, what's going on? What's up with this? And they're like, oh my gosh, we tried to prevent that. Look, we've done this. Like you can't prevent them all.
That's right.
Right. But those 20 you'll never meet could be the upset and angry of that you didn't handle that. And so then they trust in those people. And
That's right.
you'll never get to meet them.
All right. The next one talks about the mistake that turned a hater into a raving fan. So I've got a quick story here about one of those. So earlier on in my career, I had this really large guy. Stature wise, he was an Australian. I won't tell you his name. Was the Australian,
God,
and this guy could get wound up at you. Okay, the bar fighting Australian guy.
Jason.
and he would just, he could turn, but we walked through all this.
Yeah,
And
and
first
it's just
couple
like if he had a discrepancy of what was going on, he would just let you have. He was
Just,
loud and just you're like, whoa.
but once we won him over and he figured out, hey, we're on his side and we'll walk through issues together, he became a raving fan to the point that he brought his niece in, and his niece needed a car under $5,000. Now, we all know what a $5,000 car looks like. Okay.
It's had a lot.
So this car was $3,500 and it was a Focus, high mileage, maybe 200,000 miles on it. He brings her in and she's seeing part of the front bumpers hanging down. All right. And Jason tells me, he's like, Matt, go get me some zip ties. And as I go get zip ties, he's explaining to his niece, hey, the important part of this car is the powertrain, how the engine is, how the transmission, how it shifts, how it stops. These appearance factors, they're not that big of a deal. He is selling the car for me to his niece and gets underneath the car with zip ties and zip ties up the broken plastic pieces and tells his niece, you go in and do the paperwork. I'm going to fix up this cosmetic part for you. And that's how you turn a mistake or somebody that's upset into a raving fan.
Right. And I think that the replays over and over and over again with many customers of just like taking the, man, I don't want to deal with that person, to really getting them to where they're a raving fan. And we've done that time and time over. And we've missed on some that's like, how can we win this over? And we just can't, but
Yeah.
you got to at least try. You got to eat that crow.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
All right. Frequently asked questions here. What crow moment taught you a great business lesson?
Wow. I would say the first time, and I'm going back in my memory here to try to figure out the first time it happened, but the first time when I admitted that I was wrong in front of people,
Yeah.
in the middle of a live moment, the lesson it taught me was what we've talked about during this whole thing is it's okay to admit that. And the credibility you gain from your team by admitting you were wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's the largest lesson, is because you think that you're going to decrease credibility with your team when actually you gain credibility by admitting you're wrong.
And I got to point something out really quick here. We've talked about this, how we say that 85% of people said they gain more trust because someone admitted they're wrong.
Sure.
Let me throw a little caution here. Don't continue to be wrong about the same thing.
That is a great.
I'm not giving you a hall pass because we admit, and we do it more and more and more, admit that we don't know about that.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know about that. I'm going to get you some information and I'll get back with you when an employee says, hey, what about this? There's a lot of stuff we don't know from the manufacturer. But don't continue to be wrong about the same thing, because then you do lose credibility. It's like, this guy's my boss. He doesn't know about Jack.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right? So you can't constantly say, I don't know. It's like, what do you know? Right? So there's that teetering line that you always bring excellence. You always bring value to these people. And when you don't know something's like, that is a really good question. Let's figure that out together, because I don't know I have all the answers and I don't want to make that mistake, but I want to learn about it. So next time I know all about it.
That's very, that's keeping your word. And if you tell somebody you're going to go look into something, or if you tell somebody you're going to figure out the solution, or I apologize for making that mistake, it's your job and your duty to go figure out the solution or to improve so you don't make the mistake again.
Yeah, because nothing says you don't care or you're above him than doing the same thing wrong over and over.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You bet, for sure. All right. Hey, it's been a great podcast today talking about eating crow. What a fun subject. Hey, get any of our podcasts, including this one, on Crossroad Conversations podcast.com, and check out over 1,000 vehicles in stock at lewissuperstore.com. And don't forget, they all come with that Lewis guarantee, where on new ones, you get to double the factory warranty. And on pre-owns, you get up to a 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain. Hey, thanks for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to give it a like, share it with your friends and family, visit our website, and send us some questions. We want to know what you'd like to hear, who you'd like to hear from, and what you want to see, or maybe even some questions for us to answer about either the automotive industry or just business in general.